The first question is, tell us who you are.
My name is Rahbek and I'm the theatre director of Nordic Theatre Laboratory.
Hi, my name is Dongil. I'm a director of Eurasian Theatre Institute of Korea, and I'm a co-director of this production, After War.
What made you decide to create a project of international co-creation and production?
I was lucky to have Odin Directorate to visit Korea, the premiere of their show Chronic Life. At that time, I thought it would be great to have them in Gwangju and have some workshop. Then I thought, how about workshop performance? So it was all possible by the support of Odin Directorate. Then we had a meeting with the director of ACC around that time, lunch meeting, me and Per and Kai and Jinjik Lee. And I asked Per, we discussed the possibilities of like sharing this great tradition of Odin in Asia. And then we become like a gateway to Asia, spreading this beautiful tradition of theater. Then Per went back his hotel and then write down like a 5-page proposal, which I remember.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful, the proposal to share. Like it's not just a co-production actually, it's beyond the co-production to implement the spirit of bartering, spirit of sharing. This great tradition of Odin Directorate and NTL to share and then to create a platform in Asia, which was like a really wonderful vision we shared. So 4 of us were very excited. So actually it was our idea, but who implement that is Per's idea. So and then we are in the beginning stage of this wonderful journey ahead of us. So I think this is how we started our co-production.
Yeah, I think for normal people how to understand what Odin is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can read a lot of books and you can do something, but I think this, by bringing the theatre, bringing Nordic Theatre Laboratory to Korea for the first time, like an example, was very important because at the end, it's about this kind of meeting between people. It's the meeting with the artist. It's this kind of workshop which create a kind of understanding as well, what we mean by training. Because if you say training, you think of baseball because they train. But this kind of long-term way of looking at how artistic creation is made is really something which I think could have a good base in Korea. And even though the production system is totally different, I think there are much to learn, not only us to learn you something, but also from Korean culture and society to learn us something about ourselves. Because and I think this co-production is, as you said, it's just a starting point for something which could be enlarged. And I really hope that even though we are different in many
You
ways,
look a lot but different, yes.
different in our understanding of what our own culture is. I think it's a creation of creating a bridge between 2 different parts of the world, but also 2 different kind of understanding. And in between this kind of space, you will find some kind of learning, both sides. I think.
I want to add like a 2 point actually on that. The first point is that I've been teaching NTL OT in my classes, and I've been an admirer of Eugenia Barov and all those great actors and staffs. As you said, it's like in great theory, right? And also I really wanted to see the production, and I saw it was just mind-blowing. So when we thought of like why the Korean government established Asian Cultural Center, I was in advisory committee, and I thought, the Korea grew up so fast in many ways. You're watching Squid Game now, all those like Parasite movies. But what is Korea in theatrical perspective? I mean, some of Korean production went to Broadway and worldwide, and then individual effort were there, but like a collective effort to see who we are, as well as who you are, and then get a meeting at the crossroad would be a very interesting concept to do it. So I feel very honored. At the same time, this is not a just easy road to learn from you and learn from each other. It's bartering. It's like a destruction of what you have and then recreating who we are. So this process itself is not just making one good production. It's like try to make the genuine part or genuine understanding, and how long it's going to take, and what kind of method we'd like to put on, or what kind of bumpy road we are willing to just hold our hand, not losing each other. And I'm experiencing as a person, not just as a co-director, to meet this different culture and then discuss what is our commonality, what is our common kind of ground, and what is differences, things like that. So this whole process was very, I think, important, and it was, I feel like always blessing, even though we had a very intense fight or argument probably, and then try to understand each other was so difficult in short time. And that's why I really value 57 years of commitment to ask questions in this place still that's possible. Not just grounded in what you have, but still looking for something valuable, even though it's a bumpy road ahead of us. You're doing it, so I really want to thank you and thank us to be in this journey.
Is it possible to connect this project as one of the stories of barter, Olin?
Yeah, I think it can. It's but normally when the barter was invented, it was about culture. Now it's more purely like an artistic co-creation, but of course there's this kind of barter inside because we are exchanging. But I don't think I will use the word cultural barter in that way, that it should be because we are sharing the food or we are discussing the food here. But yes, it's there's a huge effort in finding the right language of exchange between the Korean actors and also the actors of Nordic theater also.
I think it's quite interesting to be in a journey where you have to clean the toilet and then clean the floor and then prepare your own food or together, eat together, and then practice by your own meal. It's not forced at all. So this whole process of living here, even though it's a short time, like it's been a little bit over a month for me, I mean, I can watch the development and then the conflict and all those resolution in this process. And I think I can see a lot of culture in it. So even though we are not talking about authentic Korean traditional art and things like that, just living in your culture and meeting as a person of culture who can appreciate different culture and willing to appreciate and try to learn. And this is I think great journey for all of us.
Who must see this show?
I think it's everybody, because I believe everybody does have a question about what is nation, what is an individual, and what is a war, what is a rebellion, resistance against dictators, and what is a resentment and wound, and how to heal it. So we want to expand this the question for everybody. So we do fighting every day with ourselves and with the outside world, and we are in the war actually. And the memory of that war shouldn't be forgotten. I think that's very important. And without language barrier, without national barriers, I really would love to share this production with everybody in the world.
I don't think it's for babies, but beside that, I think it's, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think there would be like one clear statement inside the performance. I think it's a journey to create this kind of performance right now. It would, and it should also be a kind of journey for the spectators, which means that there will be some answer which is unanswered at the end. But at that point, I think it's quite important just to create reflection also, because in today's society, there's no space for reflection anymore. You need to be productive, you need to do whatever, and then in the sake of better good, I think reflection would be something it's quite important for this kind of artistic journey.
What sets this show apart from other shows? What is the main point, or what is the difference? What's special about this show?
I think to start without any kind of manuscript is something which is totally weird or different from a Korean way of creation. And then I think this kind of trust in the artist who will create some material which will be used in a totally different way is also different from maybe the normal way of dealing with how you make a production. And then I think the time, because even though you have only been here 1 month now, or 1.5, I think this kind of process normally takes up to maybe 1.5 years before you'll be at the final end destination, which is, some would say it's luxury, others would just say that's really, why does it take so long time? But it's mainly because it's a very different kind of process, this one.
It's because of it's not about playwright wrote it. It's all about us. Even the staff should be required in the rehearsal room to participate in any ways. So this is very analog system, or very old, like a dinosaur, like a prehistoric system of production. But at the same time, this is paradox. Actually, this is what theater is all about. In the time of like Netflix, time of all those internet, time of like sharing information and short images, we are bombarded by it right now. And this is like a beautiful process to bring you out in theater. And how we do it, because you need time, absolute time, like 1.5 years to 3 years. Then we have to live together. There's very hard condition to make production. So anything else, the value sitting here actually, they insist this system, and then they create this wonderful process, which is very annoying as a director, as a co-director. It's very difficult for actors and everybody, because we are taught in totally different way. But in it, there are moments where you feel, oh my God, this is impossible without this process. And when you realize that moment, nothing matters from that time on. So this is how I discovered and how I value these differences among other productions.
Were there any difficulties throughout the process, and how did you overcome as a team?
Yes, I think there are multiplied difficulties in this production in many ways. At the same time, if people are professional, then I think you can overcome a lot of things, as long as it's not personal, which means you're going after the man and not the ball. Then I think, of course, it's not easy, and I think everybody who heard about this kind of process would like to be a fly on the wall and just listen to all the discussions and slamming with doors and different kind of flavors of aggressivities and aggressions. But I think at the end, it's also what it's about.
I mean, I did a lot of co-production actually, but this was I can say that this is the hardest one because we have so much passion and belief and then vision. We want to do a better, nicer. That was the beginning stage of conflict. Now we learn how to accept differences and how to accept. I mean, this is not just intellectual thing. Accept differences means that you don't agree with it, but you follow because you trust and you love others, which is very difficult thing to do. Okay, one side we are professional, but I think we are more human than professional in this process. So we had to drink during the meeting. We have to yell at each other. It was a really intense moment, and then I just want to give it up everything and then just go back to Korea. That moment was several times. Yesterday I went to Tivoli Park in Copenhagen, and then ride 5 hours of ride like a crazy, and then just give myself the time of reflection.
In the roller coaster.
In the roller coaster.
That's really strange.
Yeah,
you must be Korean.
Yeah, I must be. Because I keep thinking about fear. What am I afraid of? Why can't I accept these differences? Why can't I just embrace it? It was my ego, it was my belief, it was my theatrical professionalism, all of that. And then luckily enough, I can just throw it away. Not all of it, but many junk of myself, I felt. So what I want to share with you is, this is not an easy process, but this is really genuine, truthful process of become a human being as who you are, and then discover your own self in this process. Without it, I think you don't have any right to share on the stages. And then in NTL tradition, there was very strong tradition. You practice by your own, you confront your solitude and loneliness, and then you have to be yourself to be in the show. So this is not like a Shakespeare, you become a Romeo and Juliet. This is like the pair, you become pair on the stage. And this is quite a difficult journey, like a religion or like a spiritual journey. You have to really find yourself. Where are you? And what are you doing? So this was my answer.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, you became an actor now.
Should we kiss now?
That was a good ending.
I'm Dongil Lee. I'm a director of Eurasian Theatre Institute in Korea, and I'm a co-director of this production. And I've been taking this journey from 3 years ago, from workshop performance to a showcase now, this premiere. And I'm a humble father of my son and daughter and my wife.
Yes, I'm Elsebeth, Banke, and I've been working at this theatre for 2 years, and being around this project also for 2 years. It was actually the first day I arrived that they were talking about if I would like to work with, at that time, Kai Bredholt to be in this project. And Pia was asking me, have you been in Korea? And I said, no. And then he said, it doesn't matter because you will probably go there. Mm-hmm. So that was the first. That was January for 2 years ago. And then I was the dramaturg, the project leader, assistant, runner for the first showcase, Sort of Seeds. And then I met Dongil, and then we have been working since on this.
What message does After War convey?
So
my answer would be, I'm at the war all the time in my life, like up and down, and all those trauma and sadness, resentment, happy moment and sad moment. So I'm still fighting for myself. Now, question goes to the audience as well. What are you fighting for right now? And is the war is a system? Our question is, is the war? We are experiencing this vicious circle of war. Keep repeating, and destroying our spirit and destroying our humanity. And what is it? So we are asking questions about what is nation, what is individual, and what is the war, and what is a rebellion or resistance against the inhuman oppression, and then what is a scar, what is a wound, and how to heal that wound. And that was a question I've been asking to myself, and I'd like to ask to the audience.
Yeah. For me, after war is also what's left, like the generation which is coming, which is carrying this after-war experience with them, even they were not in this war. This is what we are always carrying with us through history, no matter if we are born in Korea or Denmark or China or Vietnam. So this was, for me, the title was very important for me also to open up. We could not make a play with soldiers, but we could make a play about the generation was coming after this war, and all these stories they had been carrying. And even we are brought up in the West, we can still have an opinion about the time after war. So this was very important to open up this space or to make question. Also, as Dongil says, that what is a nation? When do it start? For the Korean history, it has been begin for many.
5,000 years. Yeah,
Yes.
About
So
50,000, whatever.
So that's why to move it from about the war to after war, we can somehow embrace the big question about it, and we can allow young people, old people, new experience, old experience, even if we were brought in Asia, Korea, and West. So it was a way also to make space to enter this issue about war and uprising.
And I want to add just one small thing. So to do that, we are singing Korean and Danish national anthem together. We are combining shamanic ritual with the Bible together. So we are all asking this question in very bold way, actually, and how to meet, and then listen and understand each other. So this intercultural kind of sharing of the wisdom, not a knowledge, but wisdom we have in our gene for a long time. How can we discover that? So we can embrace each other instead of pointing gun at each other. I think that's what they do.
And you can also say that after war will concern everybody, not the people who was just in. And the inspiration was also from this book from Banke and Dongil about the Vietnam War and about the uprising in Gwangju. And I have not been in Vietnam War, I have not been in Gwangju, but I know from photos and films, especially the Vietnam War was the first war documented, and this means a lot for our way of telling the story about war. And also today, after war, is also today how we are coping with wars all over the world, still through the camera. And that was also one of the reasons why this title came up.
It was very surprising tonight. I mean, it gets long, but because I saw the news, and then the Netherlands and Austria and Belgium, there are 30,000 people are out on the street demonstrating against COVID-19 quarantine, and they're fires, targets, and then all those border bomb things like that. So it's repeating in a way, right? So.
And what emotions can this performance evoke in the audience?
For me, it's about emotions and also about to reflect. We have been a lot working with songs and images, and there's also a story in it, but it's not the main thing. The main thing that these strong images have to open up for reflections and as Dongil says, also emotionally. I think in that way, me and Dongil, we are approaching it in two different ways. I look a lot from outside, maybe because I'm brought up in Europe, and he sees it from Korea, Gwangju, and also his age. So I see it from outside. That's why some of the acting is maybe a bit cynical. What's it?
Cynical.
It's cynical.
Yeah.
Cynical. And that's also why that Dongil in the play is a very emotional character who is meeting this absurdity. What do you call it?
It's quite interesting.
I don't know how to explain this. I think it's also something cultural who is meeting because we have different histories.
It's like an encounter.
Yeah.
It's like really, because in the beginning it was really difficult to
Very
appreciate
difficult.
each other.
Yes.
But now we became we had like this strong sense of camaraderie among us. Why? Because we are not giving actors to do this. We are creating actors from actors' point of view, from as a human being. What can you tell us? And this is a very interesting craft. It's like a handmade craft. It takes like 2-3 years at least here in 57 years of history. It's very unpractical. It's like a waste of time and energies if you look at it in capitalist point of view. But it's so beautiful in a way because we are cleaning toilet together, we are cooking together, we are cleaning together, and then we are all tired, but we are doing it without complaining anything. And that building like this sense of camaraderie to keep this alive and then appreciate the characteristics of every actress and step and differences as well. We can point out our fingers to others very easy, but it's not easy to, as you said, reflect on ourselves.
Yes.
So I learned from this process, from these actors and staff, how to look at myself, not others.
So just to say about this, now I've been thinking when I'm saying that Dongil, from his point of view, he starts very emotionally. And it's not because I'm not emotionally, but I want people to reflect to be emotional. And that it starts that way. As we have lots of discussion about this, and sometimes Dongil said, no, you cannot do this because the audience will not understand. They will feel that I am stepping on them, I don't respect them. And I said to him, for me, it's to make theater is to make people, we are not going to point on somebody. The finger is on ourselves all the time. It's not about bad and good guys. It's about to place yourself inside this space and that this can make questions. And this is very, very important for me. And we have been discussed a lot.
A lot about it, yeah. Because we talked about like a break, like what is like a alienation effect, and then theater does have like aesthetic function and didactic function.
Yes.
So when you talk about like emotion and when you talk about message, two different things.
Yes. And it's about
and how to approach it is like we have so much cultural difference in the beginning. Now we start to understand each other, and then we can see that like this is not in here. It's in here. I think still like emotion is very strong to me because I took it this journey as my personal journey, and I discover a lot of reflection and then food for thought, and then I hope this food for thought will deliver and share and barter with you, audience.
And for me, I have learned a lot to be somehow outside the issue, outside the uprising or this big wound, which for you is still very present and also in Gwangju. So we have these 2 points of view, to stand outside looking in and to be inside. And how is it always been in theater or when you want to make art, it's very difficult to write or make something about something just now because there's no distance. And this is also a big balance because Gwangju uprising is not so far away still. And we have lots of examples now, like Myanmar and all these
Hong Kong.
where it's still going on.
Yes.
So it's a balance to make this distance so it can speak for itself.
I vividly remember, so when you first talk about this guilt as a European and North European, Denmark, we called you as the happiest person in the world, right? So number one.
Yeah, somebody.
Yeah, somebody. So we talked about it, and then you told me that, whenever you come from like Vietnam or Guangzhou uprising, you're always outsiders. So there's like a sense of guilt in it. But still, you do have like a emotion or concern about what's happening outside, and then try to be honest about it, and then it's like a psychological oppression against like a physical oppression. We talked about that, right?
Yes.
And I think coming out to appreciate like oppression doesn't exist in your emotion only; it exists here as well, right? So I think the vision or like a dream we have in our production would be like, how can we share this kind of the brain to body to heart and all those like organic sensation to share with the audience. So it's not understanding, right? It's just sharing this feeling of like a friendship. I know you, I understand, things like that, right? Yeah.
And also think just to say about reflecting emotion and when Dongil, for example, asked me, okay, what does it mean? And I'm saying, okay, if this was a picture, or if this was a dance, if this was a piece of music, you will not ask, what is it about? You will receive it in a totally another way, right? And that's also the balance in this way of making theater.
Right. Sometimes when you hear like one of the probably great philosophers talking to you about profound philosophy, you can be touched. But for me, it's like one song, or like one poem, or like one beautiful artwork, or like more likely nature really touched me. So I want audience to feel the nature first and their own feeling of this production. Then probably ask question, what is it? What was it? And that's my directorial concept. So from the nature to yourself to your intellectual critical thinking.
I find it's a very difficult question about feelings, what you want them to feel. Maybe I will more like, again, them to make questions and also to be in doubt. Okay, was it wrong or was it right? Or this situation was creating. We have like one line there's lots of lines of like these. Life and death behave like twins, and I think, and we have lots of these when life and death is very close to each other, and we have also been talking a lot about if you're in a war, everything is very strong. That's also another line. In a war, there's a place for all kinds of love, horror, and joy. And that's the sad thing. Another sad thing about the war and after war, that everything is very strong when you're under pressure. Or extreme. The love is strong, the longing is strong, the grief is strong, everything is strong. Obsession. You actually feel alive more than in normal life. And that's just, for example, also in the sorrow of war. When this Vietnamese soldiers comes back to Hanoi, and the life is normal after war. So this is also the contrast, and when we really feel alive, we are on the edge of everything, and it's a big paradox, right?
So you
that
try
the
to-
one who was really fighting in the front in the war gets depressed and weak and lost after. And we now have a society, especially in Denmark, the best social system. And young people have a problem just to get up in the morning
fighting war. Yeah.
for fight for something. And it's not to say we have to have a war, but it's just to say what war made us too. And also lots of art, good writing is made when we were in uprising, in a war, whatever. That's why this is a part of life, and that's also this, we start the play to say generations come, generations go, and the earth remains forever. It's this, we will never be without it. We will always, there was one who put the flag, right, and said, this is my land. And in that moment, everything starts. And this is the part of the whole cycle. Right.
If you agree with it, probably there's just this thought pops out like oppression, stay in your body and memories, and oppression also can stay in your head. So I think European oppression, what you're talking about, is like a cap on the head, as far as I understand. So what I discovered during this process, like learning from North European sense of humor, cynicalism, coziness, figures, all those things, still that strong sense of alienation and probably oppression exists. So how can we touch that? You know?
But Dongil, this is only working because you are bringing in this
Emotion.
Yes.
Yes.
I could not do it without. Then I would have changed everything. But it's like we have said that for you to express this emotion as the Korean actor does, he can do it because it's something also in the culture. And we have another. We are standing more.
Yeah, it's low.
Yeah. And I will not have directing this if I didn't have the others. So to come back to your question, I want the audience to come into this space where we are all the same, not the same, it's universal. It's not about Asia, it's not about Denmark, it's not about that the war is somewhere out there, and it's about here and now. It's not a good answer. But it's difficult. What is difficult to answer is that we are not making theater if we could have this answer. Why?
Great.
So the question goes, is there anything that the audience should pay special attention to when watching the performance?
Again, theater is only time and space. We can be ourselves. And that's the beauty of theater. And you just said here and now. It's a moment. Very special moment we shared in physical sense and spiritual sense and every sense of us, like a 5 sense, 6 sense, 10 sense, whatever sense you have. And just be honest about your senses. Then I think we'll speak out loud to you and to us.
The best thing the audience can do is go in to be open-minded, not to expect that they will understand. That is very important. Because we understand, as I said, if you look at a picture, if you listen to a piece of music, you look at a dance, you are not trying to understand it.
I think that's the most difficult line. We have like a dancing, a delicate balance, right? Yeah. And we can say that, but at the same time, like I really want to be a humble director to feed you some clues, and that's why we are using a lot of different text and then translation, but not direct translation. We are using poetic translation and of our own languages and then all different kinds of languages. So we are making effort to come close with you. But at the same time, this directorial concept is very important. This is chaos.
It's like a journey.
It's a journey. It's like
a journey.
surreal theater of absurd and all those like fantasies, dreams, and reality.
Yes, you can say that if you go in and you look at it as it was a dream, you will just follow. That's the best answer I can give.
Good. All right.
You may add some specific technique or some specific parts of the performance. It's the points that are different from other general performances. May you add?
We have been using different tools. The tradition of the Nordisk Theatre Laboratory, Untitled, they are working with physical scores as a skeleton under it. They've been working a lot with this. And they have also composed music themselves out of inspiration from these books. And then it's also mixed with dance
and movement. Traditional and contemporary.
Yeah. So it's a big mix, or it's also an experiment.
And video art too.
And video art too. To bring all these, what can I say?
Different expression,
yes.
different media.
Yeah. To bring it together.
Different brush,
yes.
canvas.
Yeah. So it's again like a big painting. Yeah.
And I don't want to call that as a technique actually, right? We are like really looking at it because 57 years of tradition of this physical score is so precious. It's like really handmade thing. And then, we don't want to like put scars on it or scratch on it. But at the same time, we got to break it to be real and to be born. So like, as you said, life and death are like a twins. Tradition and contemporary. So we have to be really brave enough to introduce this new medium. I don't want to call high-tech, probably. This is like a digital, like a low-tech and high-tech together. And then, in like a delicate balance. Because, we have a huge difference in terms of looking at like a video art. And then now I feel like you really appreciate it, and I'm so happy.
Yes, first I didn't want it.
Yes, I mean, she was very strong.
Yes,
and she wanted to just take it off. I mean, to break it, something like that. Very strong emotion, and I understand her point of view. But I have to be honest enough to explain what I felt, and then just build a trust among us to appreciate each other. We are at this point, which is really I think I appreciate. So this journey is like this, For you also, audience, with all respect, please take your own journey, and you will love it or hate it. It's your emotion, and it's important, because I don't want you to be just happy in theater. Sometimes you have to be really annoyed, and then provoked and inspired to think it over. So that's the gift I'd like to share with you.
Something, happening or event you would like to share with the audience?
There was a special one line. It was in the very beginning. The tree, this ginkgo tree, and the tree with the yellow leaves has arrived, the atom bomb. And Dongil was very dramatic about it, and I didn't understand it at all. For me, it means if a tree is arriving, the atom bomb, then the tree is for me the history, and you can intensify it with a very strong culture. And for me, Korea have a very strong culture, because it has survived a lot of invasions. So that was for me a very strong image, because the ginkgo tree for me was also an image of Korea.
Longevity.
Yeah, but Dongil was reading it totally different and said, no, we cannot do this, because it's about Hiroshima. It's like excuse that we have to feel sorry for the one who dropped the bomb. And this is, and we were talked a lot about this. And there was lots of these issues when we were reading it very differently. And then we made like, okay, then we do it in the Korean version. We put some kind of explanation and we let the English one because they will never think about this. So this had also brought up lots of discussion and also to show, okay, we are not speaking the same language always, but how can we cope with it? How can we bring it into it?
It's like it's very interesting journey actually for us, not to understand languages, understand culture, but we keep talking and try to understand each other, right? And Atomic Bomb, when I first heard that, I can sense I mean, from myself to all audience, the Korean audience will take it in different way. So that's why we had a long discussion about a Japanese and Korean relationship. Who is the victim and who is the invaders? You know, who is imperialist and who's all those issues. I don't want to be political on that. I don't want to be in the right side or anything. But at least we have to be honest about feeling. And then also this is also goes to the national anthem.
Yes.
We took it out, took it in, took it in, all those process. And then shamanic ritual with a Bible, many people will be upset, I'm sure. But this is not about religion. This is about spiritual communication, a communion, or love others, love nature. Simple as that, right? So in order to get this point, with hand in hand, we had a lot of struggle, we can say. But I will give one good example.
Yes.
The very funny things. We have an actor, his name is Dongil, or we call him Hyegi. And he's the least English, his English capacity, speaking English is not that good among all of us actually. But he's the one who communicates with others best. He became a friend of everybody without speaking English. And then he used these two words, right? Kimchi, power, and then ice cream. Ice cream, ice cream. It was enjoyable moment to watching him become someone who can communicate without language. It's all about physical score and then heart and senses, right? So I think we have that moment. So we had all differences, but we had a great space of commonality among us, without intellectually discussing everything. Hey, you're my friend. And then, I'm sure they'll be friends for a long time. These guys, youngsters. I'm not that old, but I can see them, they will be a good friend for a long time. And that's a seed for us.
Yes.
Because it's very enjoyable to hear.
We are enjoyable
the
people.
atomic bomb
We are shouting all the time.
stories and people.
And also, what I didn't say, that the thing we also have been around a lot, Dongil Lee will like that people are sure what we are telling them. That was your first intention. I want people to be in doubt what we are telling them. Because as there's also a line in the play that says that the war doesn't have two sides. It's a cycle. It's a mechanism. So this is also this to understand that you will take care of your people, that they understand what we are showing. And I want people to doubt again, to reflect, to ask. So but that has been a big discussion. Right.
But I think it's like a twins, as you said. Because I'm not saying that they have to understand this.
No, but
they have to feel it. But you have to be nice, that you have to be kind. Because I was a director actually. The confession is this. I want to be intellectual director. I want to be a very hip, and then a mise-en-scène and everything. It's when you're young, experimental theater, it's fascinating. So you want to do whatever you want to do in your mind and in your fantasy. Now I feel I really have responsibility, or it's not responsibility, blessing, to share the honest question with others. But it's gotta be honest. So that's the journey. Is this right question?
That's what the discussion is about. And I'm not Korean, so that's why I have to ask Dongil Lee, how do you think? And I also know he has his personality. So sometimes I maybe should ask somebody else.
That's right. Yeah, we learned that from each other, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is right time to ask.
Yeah,
No, this is not right time.
Yeah.
So,
In what way did you discover the progress in the actors or the steps?
and I will give you an example of today's rehearsal run through. The Uri is holding like a 120 kilogram of corpse in his life. Probably he can interpret them as like he killed all these people and this body will live with me forever. But actually it is 120 kilograms. So I saw he was very strong up until this point. And today I saw him like really struggling, sweating, and his body is going like this. Then I discovered that, you're right. Can you keep that? Why? Because you have all those weight in you. It's not physical, also it's mental. Then you can collapse. You don't have to be a dictator. You don't have to be a bad guy all the time. You don't have to be like a general, always enjoying his killing. You can be yourself. So that was the moment of discovery for me, actually, for you, right?
So sorry to cut. So you mean it's okay to feel the struggle, to feel the weight,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So if I was you, I would ask, "You right? Are you all right?"
I did actually. Yeah. Your bag is all right. It's like,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
I have seen a lot. For example, when Dongil was coming, and how he entered the stage was incredible to see him. Also without his
Energy.
he has energy, and that he couldn't speak English. And then I saw him and Petra develop their own world inside the play. We are doing nothing.
Nothing.
They
praying
just
together.
have, and they don't talk, but they have a very they have a language together which they have developed, and they keep on developing, and it's amazing to see how. And these are small things, but it makes all the small details around. And Petra, she knows how her character is moving around. He knows how invite him in, and he speaks the same language as her. Or opposite, and that is really really nice to see how fast he came into this play without not knowing nothing. There was not even a line for him when he arrived here, because we didn't know who is coming, what can they do. So we have been creating it when he came.
So this is exactly the beauty of this process. Actually, we give him enough space and time to create himself.
Yes.
And then we appreciate that. Suddenly he become a main character.
Yes.
And so this is beauty of this
From
process.
one who was hiding in the corner,
Exactly. Yeah.
he came in because he has so much
He
to
become
give.
protagonist,
The stage, and so it was incredible to see how this play suddenly was framed when he entered, and still it is going on.
And then I should say that like every actor actually, I mean, it's such a joy to be themselves and then inspire that they are making their own stuff. It's amazing.
Yes.
It's an amazing process. And then I mean I can talk like 3 more hours on that, but like I want to talk about Abraham, because he's like he's not focused. We have to like Abraham here, and then, but when he's in. Amazing. It's an amazing development in like how he create ants out of the seed, and how he create his own space. So that's why he's losing his cue. For as a director, it's painful, but at the same time, and then his articulation is getting better and better, and then it's like so it was very joyful. And also seeing him up there, by herself without any line, doing her own like interpretation of physical scores and everything on the air. And then, this was the best moment today, actually. The scene is developing so fast. I mean, I really enjoyed. We agreed together. Yeah, she was very strong, grounded, and then confident about what she's doing.
I think it was the Master of War.
Yes, that
Okay,
line.
the kick in.
Yeah. So she can.
So that's
prepare
also
the
what for all of them. Also when we had Caroline, suddenly from one day to another, then suddenly it came in, and that has been for all of them. And also how to see Edward develop his character, Juraj with his cigar. They all have a way, and even now Young Lan is coming more and more in. Right?
As a shaman, as a big like a mother of the earth, not as a like a spiritual leader, but she's like a mother of everybody. So,
and it's also great. I think it's also the reason why sometimes you should let the actors leave them alone
to blossom.
Yes, and then slowly they get connected, and that's the best way that you can bring life into a character. They start to connect.
So
and make stories.
This is the funny part. I thought the Carolina and Petra say too much. They're always talking, and they're not. The other people are not talking that much actually, right? So in the beginning, I was a little bit annoyed, to be honest. They're talking too much, and they should have like the ears. Then I discovered that they are the one really thinking about this production a lot. So when I look at the Petra and Carolina in the beginning process, very early stages, we have a discussion, right? For example, Carolina, he got the tune. Okay, wait, I gotta tune this up. Wait, I need my own time to start. It's like, oh, okay. Patience. Not patient, right? Patience. So I learned patience actually to wait for the actors to blossom, like you said. In the beginning, it was very annoying for me because she's taking away our time, blah, 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 blah. But now I see the value. Because of her, we can reflect. And then we can be honest and we can be precise. Sometimes we can be like, remember we did this? She was very good at it. So she was like a leader. Petra is the youngest. Her intuition is so good. So she said like a boom, and then tried to wrap it up. So this process of blossoming together with them, it was like because when you discussing like from the brain all the time, it's never ending, right? But the combination of Carolina and Petra, and then also these songs is amazing. I mean, Petra, 16 years old, she composed this Black Rose, and we're using that Black Rose. It's so poetic. At the same time, the tune is so beautiful. Like the Carolina does have a beautiful composing skill as well. So creating all this like music and costumes and props and then all of it, lighting, even sound. I must say that this is like a really great moment of blossoming.
Yeah, and also special show the way that we are working here. We start with the actors. We give them some text, they're developing, they're finding the first draft of the costume, and on top of this, you start to work. And also our costume designer, he came, they have made the first draft on the costumes, and then he had been working on it, and they have been working on it, and that's how this creation has been made.
And I think that's the biggest probably differences and the most unique part of this process is like we don't have script until the end. No. Because 2 weeks left, we have like a first draft. And then not many people understand this actually in conventional theater process, right? But we all understand why, right? So it's we are not creating production. We are creating actors on stage, be themselves, and then try to illuminate them and create their own character, helping them using video art, music, all those like different elements in theater. So actor, the presence of actor is the most important part of our creation.
Or it's like a practice for you guys for the press conference, because somebody may ask, what is the future of MOA? This is after war. What's after war?
It's already here. I don't worry at all. MOA is here and then we'll go home. Why? Because we have this special feeling, and then sense of camaraderie, and then eager, and hunger for something like this, hunger. Because I want to use this song, Give Me a Water, by Handesu and Chugong, because, like you said, the war, struggle, pain will move you. If you're at the edge, you like refine yourself, reflect yourself, and to be ready for like something big. And it's the same thing. Moa is here, and then we feel that this is here. We are present here. Nobody's left out. Then we'll go.
Then you mean we'll have next performance?
Oh yeah, for sure. I promise you. I really promise you. You will have like at least 20 years of history or more. Then I will retire then, okay? Before probably.
I would say that way. This is also an experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Experiment, sorry, it is also experiment, but also experiment to bring also different skills together, different cultures, lots of different kinds of languages. So it is in that way we have lots of for the future to develop.
It's like we plant a seed and then it's organic. Just let them grow. Right? And I thought like at the end of the show, probably we can give one seed for each audience to carry it. So they can plant it and then see like the sunflowers going up and they grow, right? I did it once actually. Yeah, in the MJ 2000, yeah. Because there is paintings of elementary school students of wish for re-education, dream. And they put it in the ballroom and then ask them to carry it. It's your it's our responsibility to hold them to this and then dream about it, pray about it, and think about it. Remember. Memories.
So it's recording this camera that Dongil will retire by the project of Noah in 20 years?
Yeah, 20 years. So I'll be 80.
Didn't say that.
Okay. And I will give you 10 seconds each to say something to each other.
I want to just say to you, 감사합니다. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. That you can cope also with my temper.
Oh yes, I have temper. We all have it, all right? It's not temper, it's a passion.
Yeah, okay, it's passion.
It's a passion.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you for giving to
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
Wow.
All right.
So is there anything you want to add or should we?
Yeah, this is it.
Holiday.
Right? Yeah.
That is, I think this. I thank you to you
Yeah.
to bring up all these questions.
So-
And that's
yeah,
also
that's
what
really-
theater is about. If
Yeah.
nobody asks questions,
Yeah.
Yeah. So after war is conveying questions and people have different answers, but that's the spirit. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you.
My name is Per Rahbek Jensen, and I'm the theatre director of Nordic Theatre Laboratory Untitled here in Holstebro in Denmark. I'm educated as a master in dramaturgy from Aarhus University, and as you can see, I'm adopted from Korea. I don't speak Korean, I speak Danish. I also think I inhabit Danish culture, but on the outside I look pretty much as a Korean.
Okay. Question goes, what is the identity of NTLOT?
Nordic Theatre Laboratory Odinteatret is a theatre laboratory, which means that characterizes us is that we don't put up a performance each evening, but we are a laboratory who will continue to investigate the language of performing art, especially stage art, which means that we are doing different kind of activities. Of course, to perform is one of the main activities, but beside from that, we are making this kind of investigation in what is theatre and how can we use theatre in different kind of settings. So the training of the artist are very important, the research of the artist is very important, and there's not any kind of direct goal of this kind of investigation. What we believe is that by framing or allow people to really take these kind of risk, we can continue to develop our language in how we see theatre.
And it goes, what has NTLOD been pursuing?
I think from the very beginning of this theatre, it was maybe it was led by a question about who am I and who are they, and how can you create like a imaginary space where you can create relations. At the same time, I think this interest in the other is very important for us, and that's also why we continue to collaborate and work together with different kind of cultures, which is not the same as us. I think the experience of Eugenio coming from Oslo to Denmark was a huge shift. He felt like a foreigner in a small village or city in Denmark. The same for me. I'm Korean, but I'm also a foreigner here. I'm different from the others. So I think if theatre can create like a common space between people who are different, and there make some kind of relation, connection between people for some kind of higher understanding, not in a religious way, but just to understand each other and have this kind of tolerance, then when we leave the space we are in together, we leave that space with some kind of better understanding of the other.
What does NTLOD think of a performance?
I think for Nordic Theatre Laboratory, Odin Theatre, it's always like kind of journey into some land which you don't know exactly which kind of shape it has, or which kind of language it will tell. It's a kind of investigation. It's a long process where you should be able to take in these kind of coincidences, which is also called serendipity. You know, one of the reasons why we have medicine today is not because somebody said, now I want to invent medicine, but it was actually a coincidence because they forgot some bacteria, and whoopty, then you have medicine. So I think for us, a performance is of course something which at the end should be shown to a spectator. But at the same time, it's also an inner journey in each artist to go into this kind of uncertainty where you don't exactly know what this kind of journey will bring. And I think for the performance of After War, it's more or less kind of the same. It's not easy also because this performance is a co-production between Korean artist and the artist of Nordic Theatre Laboratory. And there you really always need to find a new kind of language because traditions are so different. Also the way of making production is different. So I think for this performance, it's really a journey with a lot of hidden potential, but also some hidden dangers around each corner, because we at the same time need to create a language together and not only our own language.
How are the traditions and working methods of NTLOD present in the performance and its process?
I think the experience of this production especially gives some kind of hints about how tradition from Odin Theatre is going into some kind of new shape as well. But I think the training and this of creating material in the way which Odin created material in the past is a kind of inspiration for how this co-production is created. There is no kind of manuscript from the beginning, but all what you will see on stage as a spectator is something which is created. And from this kind of creation from the artist, you make some kind of structure or montage of material, which is the material which the artist presents. And it would be easier just to set up Hamlet of Shakespeare, but it would be a different kind of journey. I think, again, going back to the theatre laboratory, we need to be curious about who each other is, and also to create this kind of creation together. So it's in many ways co-created kind of artistic process, this one.
Maybe think about the audience. They would be morely people who are interested in culture, because it's the platform channel of ACC. So you can maybe speak about what you could be curious about the culture or the theater systems in Korea. Maybe you can arouse a question to them, or you would like to discover when we are doing this project.
No, I'm really looking forward to see how this co-production will be received in Korea. Also because people are different and we perceive things in a different way. At the same time, I think there are some themes which everybody knows, even though you don't understand what they are saying. But a scream is like a scream. People are also screaming in Korea, I presume. So I think even though there's no kind of linear narrative story in what the spectator will see, there will be some feelings which they cannot deny, and which also will be perceived in a different way from, especially from Western Europe kind of idea of what the spectators should experience. But at the same time, I think this kind of mix between something which is known and something which is totally unknown will create some kind of good atmosphere or ambience around this kind of setting, where the spectators will see something very traditional, I think, because using the Korean instruments or using maybe some songs, small parts of histories which they maybe know, together with something that they don't know, will not be in a direct way tell them what they should think, but they will be a kind of witnesses to something which they will have to reflect on after the performance. So it's not a traditional theatre piece which are being created here, but it's something which should create a room for reflections, not some reflections that I can say that if they don't have that kind of reflection, this piece is bad. But after all, if people will just go out from the room afterwards and reflect about what they saw and maybe create their own images, then I think we came a very long way.
The first question is, tell me who you are.
That has been working in theatre at Odin Teater in Denmark since 1974, which means 40 years ago. I'm Italian, but I've been living in Denmark since the beginning of my work with Odin Teater. I teach, I perform, and I answer questions.
A brief explanation of the main ideas of the teachings and the trainings of Odin.
I think that the essential part of the training is in having the actor getting deep knowledge of his or her physical and vocal possibilities. and to achieve a scenic presence that is total. For what concerns me, the physical training has been daily for the first 13 years of my life at Odin Theatre. And in the first period were the older actors that were teaching me the principles and the exercises that I had to learn. And then after 3 years, I started to develop myself the exercises that I found were interesting for my evolution as an actress. Eugenio Barba has been following my work during the first 3 years, and then he started to see my work in the training only when I was asking him to see it, to get some advice. The training had made me get more self-confidence. In Odin Theatre, there was not training for girls or for boys. So I think that the acrobatic exercises that were very important for us girls to find this feeling that we could really fly and to find this really deep confidence in our own possibilities. While other exercises that were more soft, like what we call composition, were maybe important for boys to find a softer way of behaving. When I teach, I find important to create a kind of common language with my pupils, a common working language. Because if you have this common working language, then you can achieve some result more easily and more efficiently.
What is like the physical score of NTLOT?
When we create performances, during the first 20 years of Odin Theatre, we start from improvisations, physical improvisations. Eugenio Barba would give a theme, and then the actor would start to move in the space, carried by the images that this theme has awake in his mind, in his body mind. This improvisation could last 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then the actor or actress should learn these improvisations by heart. In the first time, other actors were sitting around writing down what the person that was improvising was doing in order to help him or her to reconstruct the improvisation. From 1972, we had a video camera that allowed us to see what we have been doing and then to learn it by looking at the monitor. With years, we have been also start to develop materials, what we call materials for the performance in other ways. But what always has been important is that we had a sequence of actions and maybe sounds that we could repeat. In this way, the director could start to see again and again our improvisations that were fixed and start to cut in it, like you do when you make a movie. When you make a movie, you have a lot of material, and then you start to cut, and then you start to make a montage. So, of the improvisation of the actor, the director will not take maybe the whole thing. He will maybe take a fragment and another fragment, and then compose it again. Or he will take the whole improvisation, and then he will put a text on it, or a music on it. And then the director will make a collage of these scores, creating scenes, creating dialogue between actors through their scores. One actor will make his first actions, the second actor will make his first action. And then you create a score that is fixed and that you can repeat. Exactly like when you make a movie, you make a montage, and then you can show it again and again. And it's the same. What happens is that when Eugenio gives the theme for an improvisation, the actor enters in this world of imagination and then start to create actions, movements in the space that he fixed, that improvisation that is going to become a fixed score. When the director puts this score into the performance, the context change. And here is what I say, the interpretation of the score starts for the actor. If I was doing like this, because there was a beautiful round moon in the sky, this action comes from my improvisation with a beautiful moon. Then, if in the performance in front of me is the character of Sabbatai Zevi, of an actor, then, and I do like this, I caress his face. I don't caress the moon anymore. But the action in my body is not just caressing I would do in the daily life, is keeping the dynamic of the moon. But in the performance, I don't see the moon anymore. But my body has memorized the improvisation. And that's why it can use this action, not in a daily way, but in a formalized way.
What is the power of physical scores?
The power of a physical score is like the power of a musical score. Because when you know what you have to do, you can concentrate in coming deeper in it, in how to inhabit the score. When you have the Nocturne of Chopin, when a very skilled pianist plays them, then something else comes out of it. It's not only the sound of the notes, it's through the sound of the notes, it's like the soul. It's like the soul of the player, the pianist that comes out. It's like having a score that is fixed. Help me in the process of transcending myself. I am not thinking about what I'm doing, but how and what I transmit through this action. While if I have to improvise on stage, I will be more concerned about how does this look in the eye of the spectator. So the power of the score, as a matter of fact, is to give the freedom to the actor to be here and now, inhabit the action, inhabit the moment, and enjoy. Because if the actor doesn't enjoy being on stage, the spectator will not enjoy looking at him. And when I say enjoy, it doesn't mean only being happy. You can enjoy being on stage when you are in a very dramatic situation, but you are fully in it. And that's why I say that when I'm on stage is where I feel most alive, because I have the possibility to be free in the moment, completely, which sounds quite absurd to be free doing a score, but it's because the score has been repeated so many times, it is part of my body. Like people that dance tango, they have been rehearsing the steps, but in the moment they are dancing together, they don't think more 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 5. No, they are, because their body has innervate the dance.
How has it been teaching them and working with them with the physical scores?
I worked with the young people of Moon of Asia during a workshop I made in the summer, and I've been working before also with them in the winter, and I could see how my language slowly become more clear for them, how they could understand what I was saying. It has been a journey for me as well as for them. And I appreciate very much having these two meetings with them, because when we had the last meeting working together, I could see that they were blooming, because their body was starting to understand. It's not difficult to understand with the head what I say, my instructions, but this has to get down to your body. Your body has to learn what you are trying to teach it. And when I say you, is because I, as a teacher, can give instruction, but then is you, as actor, as pupil, that have to teach your own body. So I always say that I don't teach, you are your teacher. I give you suggestions. And so the bodies of the beautiful people of Moon of Asia, they could do incredible things when I met them, and now they were already fantastic musicians and acrobats and whatever. They had to understand what I want them to do. And it was something completely different, something they didn't know. Only Uri knew, because Uri made a workshop with me last year. So he was prepared. But for the other was a new language. So it's very difficult to approach a new language when you already are so good in doing what you're doing. It demands a kind of humility that is very important for an actor to have, always. So they managed to transform my words into their experience. And it was a very big pleasure for me to see them during the last days of the last meeting I had with them. Understanding. I could see they were understanding what I wanted from them. And then I had also the big honor to work with the two new members of this adventure. Two members that were, once again, very skilled. They knew very well their craft. And so I felt very honored and to have the possibility to work with them and to give them some inspiration and to teach them the language that I've been working with Moon of Asia people before, so that they had a kind of common physical working language. Because this is very important when you start a creation, to have a common language. So I was very impressed by how fast both were to get my instruction and to transform them into action. But of course, they were skilled actors and performers. So I am very grateful for having the possibility to meet them and to work with them, to Yan Lang and to Tom Chok. And I really wish them a very good journey on the Moon of Asia.